Xiaomi has officially launched the Redmi Note 14 series globally, and I have the Pro Plus version here with me, or versions. It is a slightly different device from the China version I reviewed a while ago, but it comes with its own surprises. Some you might like, others not so much. But the most important question is if the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is a worthy successor to the Note 13 Pro Plus. For starters, I had hoped this would be mostly the same as the Chinese version, but Xiaomi had different ideas. So for anyone curious, we'll get that out of the way before getting into the review proper. The battery capacity is lesser than on the Chinese version, but the charging is faster. There is some AI integration here like circle to search. Now a major feature from the Chinese version I think they should have added here is a telephoto camera, but you get what you get. The IP rating is also a tad better on the Chinese version plus better UFS storage too. That's pretty much the major differences based on specs on paper. Now let's get into the details. So, the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus 5G, an interesting looking phone with a really solid build. I'm talking easily the toughest built Redmi phone so far. It is noticeably thicker than its predecessor, and there is noticeable change to the design thanks to the rearranged camera bump. It comes in three nice colors: black, frost blue, and lavender purple. The white is exclusive to the Chinese version, but the lavender purple with leather rear is only available for the global version. Can't have both, but I have both. Now for pricing, the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus costs about 638k in Naira for the base version with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. On Amazon, it is currently listed just under $400. You can use my affiliate link in the description if you are looking to get one. The unboxing experience with the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is the typical expected, all essential accessories, no surprises here. The design, as mentioned earlier, is noticeably different from the 13 Pro Plus. It also has a tougher build thanks to the Gorilla Glass 2 protection on its display. Now I can't confirm the level of glass on the back, that's if you are getting the regular one, but it's still tough and with a matte finish. The other one is obviously leather. Now the design on the back is two-toned except on the black version, which I believe is more uniform. On the frost blue, the sides of the rear have a smooth and almost glossy finish, while the center features a patterned matte finish that feels nice and resists smudges well. The leather version features a stitch pattern on both sides of the back, separating a different shade of purple from the center. The camera bump sits pretty and centered at the top in a thick bump. The frame has a gloss finish all around except on the top and bottom, which also has a slight curve unlike we had with the 13 Pro Plus. The Note 14 Pro Plus is a device that feels comfortable on the hands if you love big phones. Despite the noticeably smaller battery on the global version, it weighs almost the same as the Chinese version. That has 6200 mAh battery to this one's 5110, but the weight difference is about 0.3 grams. One area where it edges out the Chinese version is the faster 120 watts charging brought forward from its predecessor, but I think some would have preferred the bigger battery since 90 watts charging is still very much among the fastest. It comes with a 120 watts charging brick in the box, and in my experience charging, it takes just over 30 minutes if drained. The battery life is still capable of giving you a full day of use. Although it's of lesser capacity than the Chinese version, it's still among the largest you'll get on most smartphones. Now the Note 14 Pro Plus is one of the toughest built Xiaomi phones. It has been reinforced internally and should survive a couple of impacts without damage. I'd like to interpret that as an assurance to use my phone without a case, but I won't be doing any stress test, and I'm sure you won't either. But you can take it swimming thanks to its IP68 rating for dust and water resistance. It will survive submersion up to 30 minutes in a depth of 1.5 meters. It does not have the same level of water resistance as the Chinese version though, so keep that in mind. This one can survive depths of 2 meters and up to 24 hours. Try not to confuse them in case you end up getting the global version, so you don't go boiling your phone. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus has a gorgeous 6.67-inch curved AMOLED display with 2.7K resolution and 120Hz refresh rate. It supports HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, also offering a peak brightness of up to 3000 nits. The display is vibrant and suitable for media consumption, complemented by stereo speakers that provide loud and clear audio. It has the same display specifications as the Chinese version and mostly the same as its predecessor, but with a much higher peak brightness. The in-display fingerprint scanner works just fine, there are no complaints here. This runs HyperOS based on Android 14. We are yet to get HyperOS 2 updates and Android 15, but that shouldn't be far off. As expected with Xiaomi's update policy, this should get 3 major OS upgrades, and that is support up to Android 17 at least. The global version of this device comes with 8 or 12 gigs of RAM and 256 or 512 gigs of internal storage. It uses UFS 2.2, which is actually a downgrade compared to UFS 3.1 on its predecessor. For the average user, that might not mean much, but for the heavy user, you might find it wanting when it comes to responsiveness on load times or data transfer. The UI is generally smooth with only occasional delays. The bloatware and ads are still present here, as is typical with Redmi phones. They can be easily disabled or removed if you know your way around Android, of course. We get some AI features here, including circle to search, a feature previously reserved for the flagships, but it is here. There is a dedicated section in the settings for AI services. Here you will find all its AI features, including image expansion, which surprisingly does great. Although that feature is not yet present here, but I've used it on the Xiaomi 14T. It is expected to come with a software update by the end of the month. We also have an AI interpreter feature for calls, but to use that you need to swipe open the toolbox on the side during a call. It is great to see Xiaomi finally adopting AI and extending it to the Redmi Note series. There are more AI features which we expect will come with a software update by the end of January, including the image expansion I mentioned earlier. The Note 14 Pro Plus is equipped with the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 processor. It's been a while we got Snapdragon on the high end of the Redmi series in this region. I think the last Redmi Pro phone to come with Snapdragon for this region was the Note 12 Pro, which was basically a Note 10 Pro reincarnated. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Note 14 Pro Plus excels in everyday tasks and can handle heavy use and multitasking with ease. Xiaomi also maintained the support for eSIM on this device. If you love gaming, you will appreciate the fact that this has been optimized to give high graphics performance for most games. Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, as demanding as it is, can achieve peak graphics performance on the Note 14 Pro Plus. That is some flagship level graphics performance, but while it is generally enjoyable, there may be occasional lags and the device can become noticeably warm. Now, it did not overheat in my experience, but it is worth noting. You will get more consistency if you tone down the graphics settings. With Call of Duty Mobile, to play on max frame rate settings, you need to drop the graphics settings to high. It can be set to max, but the frame rate drops to very high. If you're a PUBG enthusiast, you can enjoy Ultra HDR graphics with Ultra frame rate. The highest available frame rate option is Extreme, but there is no Extreme Plus, even at smooth graphics. The gaming performance is mostly the same as the Chinese variant and much improved over the Note 13 Pro Plus, so no issues there. Now, cameras. This is one area I think Xiaomi could have done a lot better. It sports a 200 megapixel main camera, an ultra wide and macro camera. Not to nitpick, the specs are good and it pretty much carries on the same configuration as its predecessor, except for the improved selfie camera. But at this price point, a telephoto camera should not be absent, and we know it is possible because the Chinese version has one. The importance of this cannot be overemphasized, and you can see that from these portrait photos taken on both the Chinese and global versions. Although the color and sharpness sometimes look better on the global version, but that's something Gcam or software updates can easily fix. On other areas, they are mostly close in results except for some difference in color tones. But Chinese version aside, the Note 14 Pro Plus takes good photos, including on the selfie camera. Its 200 megapixel mode takes really sharp and high resolution photos, even in conditions I would say is less than ideal. The Note 14 Pro Plus can record videos up to 4K at 30 frames per second from the rear cameras. Optical image stabilization is decent and the video quality looks great, although it could use some improvements in low light. Redmi still cannot give us 4K recording from the selfie camera, so we are stuck with 1080p on this one. So the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus actually does great when it comes to taking photos and videos from the selfie camera, even though it can't do more than 1080p 60 fps. But I mean, at this price point, it's a mid-range phone. It should be able to do 4K 30 fps. It has a capable processor, but you get what you get. There's a teleprompter mode that can be enabled when using the selfie camera, which is useful, but since the selfie camera only shoots 1080p videos, well, Xiaomi's Note 14 Pro Plus is a solid phone which checks most of the boxes for its intended target audience. However, the enthusiasts will be concerned about the lack of a telephoto camera, its slower storage compared to the competition and compared to its predecessor, and the fact that it still cannot record 4K from the selfie camera. These missing features leave more to be desired, and it gets more interesting when you realize the Chinese version has most of these missing features. But on the bright side, it retains that faster charging from its predecessor, it's got cool AI features, and it uses the much desired Snapdragon chipset. Do you think it's a worthy successor to the Note 13 Pro Plus? Or an even bigger question would be, does it finally fill the void left by the Note 10 Pro from a few years back? Stay tuned for my review of the Note 14 and 14 Pro, and don't forget to check my review of the Chinese version. Peace out.